For the second year in a row, Clemson's offense was mediocre, certainly not elite. They finished 48th in total offense at 410 yards per game, and the passing offense was worse. That was really the big problem that was talked about, throughout much of the season, especially the second half, and a lot so far this offseason, and that's what led to the change at offensive coordinator. The first 7 games of the year, Clemson averaged 247 yards per game passing. Not great, but it got worse. The second seven, or the second half of the year, they only averaged 217 yards per game. So down by 30, and that includes the 2 games where Cade Klubnik threw, uh, kept Clemson's offense alive, and they had 317 yards passing against North Carolina and 320 yards passing against Tennessee in the bowl game loss. So even with that, the trend that was negative, and so you kind of end the year feeling pretty bad about the offense. Hence, they make the change, not just a quarterback at the end of the year, but then they make the change an offensive coordinator, letting go of Brandon Streeter, who was only in the position for 1 year, and bringing in Garrett Riley from TCU. So with a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, there's reason for optimism. But even though those are two really positive things, or at least seemingly very positive things, um, the Tigers are still going to need a couple things to go our way. So we're going to talk about X factors. Just we're going to highlight 3 big ones for Clemson's offense if it's really going to get to the next level. Obviously, you need the plays, the scheme, and all that with Garrett Riley to work nicely. You need Cade Klubnik to play well. But we're talking, some of the less obvious things, and hence X factors. This is part of there's a companion piece of this, a written article on TigerNet. So check that out if you want to see defense. We also have that on my YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Those are over in the YouTube Shorts section for the defense. But let's talk offense. So, frankly, we could just put every wide receiver on here. The wide receiver play has been abysmal for a couple of years now. But if we're just going to pick out, one or two, Bo Collins stands out to me as possibly the biggest X factor on the entire offense. He was really good for the first 4 games last year. He started off with 4 touchdowns in 4 games. He had 218 yards through those games. Um, and then he really tailed off. Now, part of that was because, after a couple games, he hurt his shoulder and dealt with a nagging shoulder injury. Eventually, he left that Notre Dame game when it was re-aggravated, and missed a couple games after that. But the rest of the year, he just had one more touchdown catch and 155 total yards. So for the whole year, he just had 373 yards and 5 touchdowns. He didn't have any games with more than 4 catches or any games with more than 65 yards. So what started off looking like kind of an on ramp to a big season was kind of an early hot start for Bo Collins. So Bo Collins, big X factor for Clemson's offense. They don't have a ton of options. What's so interesting is the offense didn't look great in the spring game, and a lot of what you heard was, well, they didn't have some of their key wide receivers, namely Bo Collins. So if he's going to make that difference, he needs to stay healthy. That's a big thing. He also needs to play well. Another big X factor is Adam Randall. Adam Randall was a huge prospect coming in, one of the top wide receivers in his class, but he did not look good last year. Now he tore his ACL before the year started, so it was surprising that he only missed that first game. He came back, and it seemed like, hey, he's back early. It might be a little slow start, but he'll get going. He actually posted the worst PFF grade of all Clemson scholarship wide receivers, and that's even when you get rid of snap minimums. Just every single scholarship wide receiver had a higher PFF grade than Adam Randall. So was that because he wasn't really healthy, and he wouldn't trust his knee, didn't have the speed, whatever it is, or is this, was the prospect rating off? Is he not healing properly? So this is a big year for Adam Randall to prove that prospect, those high prospect ratings were right. He just wasn't healthy. Maybe didn't have the right quarterback play and scheme. Well, he's got Cade Klubnik, he's got Garrett Riley, and should be healthy. So big year for Adam Randall. Those are just 2 wide receivers if you're going to pick 2, but Cole Turner needs to be a deep threat for this team. Antonio Williams we can't really afford to have him have a sophomore slump. So you can pick almost any wide receiver. Clemson just needs a lot more out of the wide receiver room, and I think Bo Collins and Adam Randall are the 2 you're looking at. Really hoping they break out. I think Cole Turner is another one to keep an eye on. Getting out of the wide receiver room, I think Tristan Lee is another guy to watch. I've written about him before. third-year player. He had his senior year of high school screwed up by Virginia's COVID restrictions. He didn't play, so then he came into Clemson, out of playing shape, kind of missed that experience, and so that kind of slowed, set back his progression as a college player. So he's a third-year guy. He had his red shirt under his belt, and Coach Sweeney has gone on and on about how great his work ethic's been, how he's turned a corner, how he's totally remade his body, and all that good stuff. But he hasn't come out and just said, he's going to win this left tackle position. And we've even heard that Marcus Tate could shift over. And Marcus Tate is, he started as a true freshman in that game against Georgia, and he didn't feel like he was ready. But he's really progressed a lot since then, and he's coming off an injury. But if he could stick at left guard, not left tackle, you could have every offensive lineman except the left tackle staying in the same position. That's really nice because even when Clemson has a lot of guys back on the offensive line, it seems like they're always shifting them all around, moving them to different positions. So it's not truly returning starters. They are starters who return but not at the same position. So if Tristan Lee could be the starting left tackle, you let all four other guys stay at the same position. You have a pretty experienced line. If not, maybe you move Marcus Tate over to left tackle, then you got to find someone for left guard. So you've got two guys in new positions, and the musical chairs just go on from there. So those are three big X factors for Clemson's offense: Bo Collins, Adam Randall, and Tristan Lee. I'm gonna give you a bonus one. I think this is another player to watch. I'm really excited about. Jake Brenningstool for this season. So he had 285 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns as a tight end last year. And I think with Davis Allen heading off to the NFL, he's got an opportunity to fill that void and then some. I think Clemson could have done more last year to lean on their tight ends to help them overcome their deficiencies at wide receiver. I think Garrett Riley is a little bit more creative and will do that with more consistency. Jake Brenningstool, there was a lot of positive kind of rave reviews about him in camp. And I think they need to be aggressive in utilizing their best pass catchers. And he very well may be one of them, even more so than the wide receivers. So I think getting him involved as much as possible. Davis Allen had 443 receiving yards last year. I'd like to see Jake Brenningstool eclipse that. I think that could be something that, if the X factors at wide receiver don't pan out, then you really need him to eat a bigger chunk of the sort of receiving yards pie. So he's another guy who could play a big role there and really help this offense get going. So hope you enjoy this video. If you're not already, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel. Also, we're now supported by Bunches, which is an app available for the iPhone, soon coming for the Android. You could join our Clemson Sports Talk bunch where we have discussions. You could chat with me, some of the writers on Shaking the Southland, and a lot of other good folks. So I'll include the app and some information so you could join us there. Thanks for watching.